our flight got delayed, and it was 2 hours that we had to sit on the plane. And that caused us to be late for our next flight to New York. So when we got to New York, our entire itinerary was changed.
One of the biggest humps that we had is when we had to split into two groups. And one group stayed in Ireland, which wasn't even supposed to be there to begin with, and the other group went on to Amsterdam like we were supposed to. I think that was one of the biggest things we had to go through, because we took one group that we were told the whole time that we needed to stay together and be one group, and we were forced to go into two groups.
It was one of those things where everybody was just kind of looking around like, what else can go wrong? What else can we do? Yet, every time we were presented a challenge, we just pushed through it. Every single time. And I'm incredibly proud of that team for doing that. Never giving up, always just pushing through. When we first got there and I was listening over the project, I was like, oh man, we can do all of that. Fence, no problem, we got this. And then you go out and see the field. When you think garden, okay, you think backyard, you know. This is not a garden, this is a field.
Well, best thing about Romania, they don't believe in post hole diggers over there. The tools are not like American tools. To quote what Ben said, if you brought a spade and a post hole digger to that country, you would revolutionize it, and it's true.
People had kept saying, you know, digging holes of value. To me, the whole fence in general represents a lot more than I had noticed in the beginning. When he said, oh, we're gonna be building this fence, I was like, oh, we're building a fence. Throughout my 2-week stay there, the more and more I realized just how important it was, what we were doing, and what it meant to the people who were gonna be working there and the jobs that they were gonna get because of it.
But the trip wasn't about building a fence. The trip was about changing a generation that changes a culture, and to come alongside people that live there, doing that day in and day out. And so the privilege was truly just holding children and loving on children and showing them something that maybe they don't ever see.
Nothing that everyone who had told me who had went years prior, what Ben could say, prepares you for honestly the feeling and just the emotions that come when all of a sudden you show up for the first time and there's kids just jumping, literally rushing you and just jumping on you, grabbing, just wanting to get a hand or, you know, you to pick them up, and they're just so excited to see you.
Well, it was really awesome to get to see the kids at the Isaiah Center and at the village as well that I recognized. And some of the kids in the village remembered who I was or what I looked like. I was the bald guy. That was not hard. But that was really cool to get to see their faces and like their face just light up with excitement when they know somebody and they want to get to they want to be held. They want to just get to see you again.
I was sitting with a group of girls and we were painting each other's fingernails and we just got to know each other's names. So I would be like, Kayame, which is her name, I believe. And so we went around the circle and said each other's names. And then they would go around the circle and say everyone's names, even though they knew everybody's names. It was because I was doing it, they wanted to do it. And then the next day I saw them, one of the girls came up to me, and the same girls weren't there, but they would be like, all right, remember? And they would go around the circle and say everyone's name, making sure that I remembered their names because that made them feel so special.
it was incredibly cool to watch a team choose to be family, choose to lock arms and approach every obstacle of just getting there with a determination that we had purpose, that we were supposed to be there, that God was at work way before we even got there.
Something special about the way we all connected, and it wasn't for nothing. So I just really want to, I know that they're going to be like lifelong friendships, but I want to do everything I can to make sure that I'm like contributing.
I have always felt led to take my experience and my passion working with children and the desire to teach and be an educator to other cultures. So going to Romania, I feel, helped me not only talk to Rachel to see how she did it, but also to build upon that passion that I already had burning within me. It just kind of grew like this. Yes, this is what I want to do someday.
I get to hang out with kiddos all the time. And the fact that every time I go up on stage and tell those kids about my kids in Romania, I get a little choked up. And I just want to keep sharing that story to those kids and to anyone that will listen. Because I miss them. I miss them like crazy. And I want them to have every opportunity to succeed in this world and to grow in God's love.
The lesson for all of us is this: what are we going to do next with what God is doing now?